What's up, y'all? You are listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative M Projects. I'm your host, Melissa Cherie. I am here. I want to say I'm here in the studio because it's in the studio, but we're not. Well, it's my own makeshift home studio. Okay, so yeah, you're in the
That
studio
counts as a
with me.
studio.
And my special guest. It is still Women's Month. And so we are doing a WCW, a Woman Crush Wednesday. And I have a very special crush, okay? Because I've had a crush on my guest that I have today since before she came out the womb, because I already knew when she was coming, okay? Her name is Carlita Bryant. And let me tell you about Carlita. First of all, she is a senior attending UCLA. Whoop, whoop. She is president, okay, a presidente of the first Afro Latinx club at a predominantly white institution. We're going to get into that. That's big. She's the director under the Academic Affairs Commission Office under student government. She's an intern, hello, for the one and only Creative M Projects. She has started her second year as an intern, which she loves. She's an aspiring educator and educational policymaker. She uses marketing for her extracurriculars as a form of artistic expression. She enjoys different forms of art like painting, drawing, dancing, makeup, and singing in the shower. Hey, she is currently finishing up her winter quarter and she's ready to start spring break. Okay, we'll get into her after graduation plans, but I have here Carlita Bryant. She is also my niece. So if you were here with me in the studio, I'd be like, show her some love, y'all. Show her some love. Say what's up to the people, Carlita.
Hi, I'm so excited slash nervous to be here. Wow. And that intro made me sound so important. I'm like, wow, maybe I do. Maybe I am important.
Listen, girl, okay, you are important. You was important before you got here, and you're even more important now that you're here. I always do a hype intro because everybody I have on is super, super
Oh, thank you.
important. So, it's just
Oh,
hashtag facts. Hashtag facts.
yeah, you like show some love in the studio. I'm like, okay, let me hug myself.
Oh my goodness. All right. So yeah, so let's get into some of these things that have made you amazing. Cause you know what? We use the term artist, right? We like to call people artists, anybody that's creative. And to us, we say you're an artist if you're creative. But everybody doesn't like to just take on that title. How do you feel when I say you're an artist? What comes up for you?
Ooh. Well, obviously everything that I do art related comes up to me. I don't know. I don't necessarily call myself an artist like that, so hearing it kind of just feels validating for what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like I don't consider it like I don't consider myself an artist when I do it because I'm not being paid to do it or I don't market myself in that way. So hearing it, it's not necessarily like, oh, like she sells things, but it's just more like a validating experience for me to be called an artist, because a lot of times I gloss over it myself, so it's good to reassure myself that even if it isn't like a super big thing that I advertise, it's like I'm still an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You touch art
Hmm.
though pretty much every day. I mean, some of the things that you said you like to do, painting, drawing, dancing, makeup, singing in the shower. I mean, would you say that you do something that's, art related on a daily basis, even if it's just listening to music?
Yes, then definitely yes. I don't necessarily paint every day, but I'm always listening to music. I'm always dancing around the apartment, and I'm always singing out loud. And I'm pretty sure my roommates get sick of it, but they're not gonna hear me stop. So yeah.
Now, you've even talked about things that you want to do in the future that are art related, that if somebody heard that, they'd be like, what? You want to do what? Because it's not something that you are just putting out there on a regular. I mean, you're right now, you're like fully engrossed in academic life, and which does not
Hmm.
revolve around art. But what are some of those like artsy type dreams, big dreams that you're kind of holding on to?
Oh my gosh. Well, the biggest one would be, if somebody saw me down, like walking down a New York street and somehow got me and said, "Hey, would you like to join this Broadway show?" I would be on it because I would definitely love to join. And also, I guess photography type of things, or like even like painting. I don't know, just anything really. But yeah,
Hmm.
the main thing is Broadway. I think it's so cool. It's super fun, and I feel like people in theater are the most fun people to be around.
You know what? There is some truth in that, for reals. You
Yeah.
know what that makes me think of though? I feel like if we took a poll, right? Look, I don't have any stat
Hmm.
numbers, okay, on me, but if we took a poll, you and I today, and we polled like everybody in the world, I'm
Hmm.
guessing that upwards of like 80% of the people, if they're honest with themselves, have something like artsy on the inside where they were like, if I could do this, I would do it. Don't you think? I
Yeah.
mean, it's like those
Yeah.
it's like everyone almost has like this inner artist that they either kind of avoid or don't want to acknowledge.
Or they might be into something that they don't consider art themselves. Like it could be something like interior design, and they're probably like, "Oh, that's not art," but that's art in some form.
Mhm. It totally
So
is. What's
yeah.
happening with this microphone right now? I don't know. I just also feel like a lot of times like in the society and culture that we live in, certain
Hmm.
things are, you talked about validated. Certain things are like validated more easily, more so than others. You know what I mean? Like if you say, I'm going to be a surgeon general. Like no one's gonna be like, nah, dude, you don't want to be a surgeon general. Like poo poo on that. Do something else. Make that your hobby. But
I mean, I might just because that sounds like way too much for me. I'd be like, "Ooh, I mean, good for you, but not for me."
but I feel like when somebody talks about something that's, like, oh, I want to sing on Broadway, I want to go dance overseas or something like that, everyone's like, yeah, okay, that's cute and all, but how about if you go get a real job? Don't you
Oh
think?
my God, yeah, those people suck.
There's a lot of people out there that suck. So you're finding your way. You're still in school. You haven't figured it all out yet, which is cool. Tell us about
Hmm.
this, the first Afro Latinx club. How
Oh
did you
my
get into
goodness.
that?
So my sophomore year in college, I lived on they call it like the Chicanx Latinx floor.
Mhm.
And there, the founder of the club, her name is Kai, she joined our group chat and she was like, if anybody's interested in joining this club, like feel free to apply. So I applied because I knew like that's exactly where I would fit in at this school. And she was super nice about it, and she like sent me the application and everything. And then so that's how I just became a general member. But then they were gonna have like their first retreat type of thing, and I don't really know what happened, but I got invited to go as an e-board member. And I didn't go, but I did end up being on the e-board in that way, and I joined as the historian. So I pretty much went to all of the events. I took pictures and videos. I was pretty much behind the camera. So I don't know if you look through their Instagram and you see like pictures without me in it, it's because I'm probably behind the camera. um, so I was historian for 2 years. And then last year, Kai was leaving. So it's like, the founder and the president is leaving. Um, and for a long time, she was kind of like, do you want to be the president? And for that same amount of time, I was like, no, please, no. Um, but then I thought about it and I was like, I think I could do it because I usually contributed like ideas and stuff, and I felt pretty organized as a person myself. So I felt like it was something I could take on. And I don't know, the more I'm in the position, the more I realize how important it is, especially like when we first had our first photo shoot as an e-board, and we were all saying like, yeah, like we're the first Afro Latinx club at a predominantly white university. Like, that's a pretty big deal considering how small the population is. Like, we may not be the first because the first is at an HBCU, but
Hmm.
it's pretty special to us, especially because the community is so small. So for us to have made history like that at UCLA, like, none of us would have imagined it, but it happened. And I'm really glad it did because we fostered a lot of community. I feel like I'm family with a lot of our pretty much all of our members. Yeah, it's been a really nice experience. Stressful, I'm not gonna lie, but it has been a really rewarding experience, and I do love every part about it.
Uh-huh. I mean, first of all, the fact that it is at, you're right, such a prestigious educational institution like UCLA, I mean, that's big. And based on what you just said, it sounds to me like you had to overcome some fear to, you know what I mean? Like there was some fear that could have actually prevented you from
Hmm.
moving forward with the opportunity. And like you've already started to step into some of the opportunity, but you don't even know yet what other opportunities may present themselves because you got over that fear and you're like rocking in that particular role.
Yeah,
So
it's so
take us
exciting.
take us back to that, because part of the reason why, we have this podcast is so that through our stories and through our experiences and the things that we talk about, somebody that's listening it might be like, "Oh shoot, you know what? That right there, like, Imma try that," or like, "If she could do it, like, I could do it too," type of thing, you know?
Hmm.
And I've been having, like, I'm not gonna call them old because the people that were on before, they'll be like, "Girl, please." But they've been a little bit older.
More
Like, more
experienced.
experienced, more seasoned. So you're bringing a youthfulness to us today, Carlita. I like it. So so go back in time a little bit to how you kind of talked yourself or worked yourself through that fear that you had where you're like, I don't know. And she was like, "Do you want to apply?" Like, do you remember? I know you said you thought about it and you're like, "I can do this," but can you give us any more juicy detail?
Yes. So when I was first planning on, because I was running during COVID, so
Mhm.
everything had to be online. So because our election process was online, we had to record our speeches and stuff. So I originally made two videos. One was to be the chair of marketing, which I was very comfortable with because I'd been doing that my entire time as a historian. And the other one was for president. And I felt super confident saying stuff for the marketing position because
Mhm.
I had been so comfortable. And I wasn't as confident because the person running for president, he was the VP at the time. So already I felt like I wasn't going to win or I wasn't going to
Mm.
get the position. But I don't know. So I sent both videos in, and our secretary was like, "I'm sorry, but you have to choose one." And so I was like, okay, let me think for a second. And I do owe a lot of like the confidence I got from like old friend or just friends that I had. My now ex, who also encouraged me to um, join as the president or like run for president. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I just like it took a lot of me affirming my own self and saying like, yeah, like I have a solid resume. I've held positions of leadership here at the school. Like I'm more qualified than I need to be. And also, if this were somebody else, I would be telling them, come on, you're like this leader, like you're a student leader, you're super organized, you're very smart, you have good problem solving skills, and you're a woman of color. So you need to be taking up as much space as possible. So it's kind of just like telling myself that and truly believing it. And then after, I don't even know how much thought it took, but I was like, you know what? Send in the president video.
Yes, send it in, send it in. I like that you were like, take up as much space as possible.
Mhm.
Boom.
Yeah, because we don't see a lot of representation. So if I could be that for someone else, that would be I don't even know what I would think. Like that's pretty cool to at least know that somebody out there will look at me and say, I can do that too.
I love that you reasoned it out, you know. It made it
Hmm.
make sense in terms of making the choice. You basically made a choice to stretch yourself because you could have easily went in, you know, you could have went with the one that was comfortable,
Hmm.
easy. Everyone else would be, "Oh yeah, she could do that for sure." You know, makes sense, but you stretched yourself and went for something that was a little more challenging, you know,
Hmm.
give you opportunity to grow. And you
Yeah.
know what else was cool about your reasoning? It sounded like, you know, you were feeding off quite a bit of your like your peers, people that were like in your age range,
Hmm.
which I think as I was hearing you listen to that, you know, what I like about the value of that, I mean, you could always talk to somebody who's more experienced, older, wiser, but you already know what they're going to say, right? They're going
Yeah.
to tell you to go for the hard one, go for the challenging one. So you could, that's pretty much predictable. But when you stay in the pocket of like people that are in your same range of experience, you know, and age, then it's
Hmm.
almost like you get a different perspective or take that seems what like easier to swallow, more
Yeah.
realistic.
Especially because, I mean, Kai was telling me that I should be president. And I should have taken that a lot harder than like the after multiple times of her saying it. Like, I coming from the president and the founder herself, trusting me with her organization, like that's a huge deal. So I should have just known right away, and I should have just gone for it. But I am happy that things happened the way they did. I mean, despite the whole pandemic part. But yeah.
All right, let's see what else is on here. Director under the Academic Affairs Commission. How'd you get into that?
Yes. Okay. Well, the position itself is like I have two co's, and it's co-director of Sanctuary Campus under the Academic Affairs Commission under USAC. It's a whole thing. I hate having to explain it to people because I'm like, it's a whole thing.
That sounds very UCLA, just to say right there, that explanation.
Yeah, especially because the commission itself is it's like a whole chain of commissions. It's too much. So I just say I'm a director for student government. But that also happened. Oh, it happened my junior year.
Mhm,
And my friend Naomi, she was running for academic affairs commissioner, and I had known her through Afro Latinx connection.
mhm,
She was our external relations chair. And when she said that she was running for academic affairs commission and looking for people to be on her team, I started doing like my research on what her platforms were and what positions were opening up. So the one that called out to me was the director of sanctuary campus position, because it's about holding events and just like workshops and stuff for underrepresented communities on campus, which I felt it was perfect for me because I'm for the people, which is technically like her slate
mhm.
that she ran under. I think of them as like political parties at UCLA. She was for the
Mm,
people. Yeah. And
okay.
I was like, yeah, me too. I'm for the people. So I applied, and she interviewed me with the academic affairs commissioner of that year. Her name's Nadira. And they both really liked my ideas. And I was like really excited because I don't know, it was just like because I had already known them and I had seen them take up the space on campus. I was like, I could run with y'all, you know? Um, and that position was actually really fun. My co-director, her name's Julianne. She was very helpful in the position. We both like tag teamed with events and workshops, and that was really fun. And then this year, um, I definitely did not want to take on more if I was going to take on the president position, but I
Mhm.
really liked the sanctuary campus position still. So I just decided to stay a director. Um, yeah. And then this year was a little bit different because I was events. It wasn't as easy to put stuff together. But I do still like the idea of fostering community, especially for marginalized communities. So instead of doing events, we've been doing like workshops like virtually. We've also done like guides. So for example, there's like the UCLA virtual wellness guide, and it's all about mental health, and it's just like this huge doc of just resources for students regarding mental health. And I'm actually working on one now, and it's specifically targeted to Black and um, POC students, and just like resources that are available to them.
Well,
Yeah.
this is a wonderful transition because
Yeah.
another thing that I wanted to talk about today was the whole idea of wellness. And so,
Hmm.
you've been working on this document or this project. What is wellness to you? What does it mean for you to be well?
I think wellness definitely has a whole intersectional approach to it.
Mhm.
Because even health has multiple aspects. So there's like the mental health and physical health, but then you also have like emotional health and spiritual. I just quick little plug to the wheel of life situation that I got going in my intern sessions. It's like this wheel, and it's like sectioned out, and you kind of just rate how each part of your life is at the moment. And that's pretty much what I think of when I think of wellness. It's like making sure you're accounting for each part of your life, and making sure that you're okay
Mhm.
in that sense. Yeah, there's not one specific definition for wellness, I think, unless you're just saying it's everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Being that you're like a young person, um, like how can you tell? Like, okay, so take this for example. Like, so physically, it's really easy to tell when you're physically not well, right? Because you experience symptoms, like you might have some sniffles, you might have a cough, like your body might ache. So it's easy to be like, oh man, I'm not feeling well because it's physical, right? It's very
Hmm.
tangible. But as a young person, how can you tell if you're not well outside of just the regular physical stuff? I mean, and is that something that you pay attention to? Because you may not even pay attention to that yet, really, right now, because you are young.
Yeah, I feel like it's really hard to tell when
Mhm,
somebody isn't doing well mentally or emotionally, because especially here at UCLA where you have so much to do and so many like professional people around, like it's very easy to hide it and to try and just work through it.
mhm.
But I also think that that could be a symptom, because I definitely show that one where it's like you overwork yourself to keep your mind busy from the emotional stuff happening underneath. So definitely if somebody's that busy,
Mhm.
I'm concerned. And also I feel like in this, I don't know how to this age, I don't know, but people are a lot more open to talking about mental wellness. And I think that in this community that I'm in, it's pretty, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's definitely easier than before when people wouldn't talk about it or it was a more stigmatized topic.
Mhm.
But I feel like there really isn't one way to tell, unless like they're talking about like a bad sleep schedule, or you can kind of see it in their face, or like even if they're keeping conversations short. But also it just depends on the person and how they are outside of the mental or emotional pain they're going through.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
I
it is
think
hard to tell.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think when you're younger, it's really important to have people around you, like the more seasoned people that we're talking about, that
Mhm.
you trust, where they can like help because they can recognize things that you don't necessarily see as a young person. But if you don't
Mhm.
trust somebody, you're not going to listen or pay attention to them anyway. So that's why it's really important for people to be around people that they trust, you
Mhm.
know, that are not necessarily their peers, because your peer is young and is not going to catch it, just like you wouldn't catch it either, in terms of like kind of being off, you know,
Yeah.
and not even
Yeah.
really knowing it.
I feel like it can be easier if you're around younger people, and I do think that having somebody older and more experienced guide you like I think that could be helpful, but I also feel like that whoever you're talking to, you have to really trust, because a lot of like people my age, like we're not talking to older people, we're talking to each other,
Right.
unless you have a therapist, which I can't even get into that because accessibility and all that. Oh my god, it's horrible. But yeah, it's a pretty hard thing to navigate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there's what you just said in terms of like the age that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that the whole topic of mental health has become trendy. Like in Hollywood, I feel like things become trendy. I mean, I don't have any other way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that like mental health is by any ways like a trend or a fad, because mental health and mental health issues have been around forever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we're not on this podcast trying to be experts or anything like that. We're just having a conversation. But
Yeah.
I do think that it helps that mental health has become trendy because it does take away the stigma,
Mm-hmm.
for people that are battling like mental things and mental issues and having trouble. It's like now you can actually like seek help and talk about the things that you're struggling with openly, without having people like tear you down or make you feel like you're a freak of some kind. So I love that. It's like, yes, make mental health trend,
Yeah.
make it
Hashtag
trend.
mental health.
Because Creative M Projects is all about, helping from the inside out with those things: mental health, spiritual health,
Yeah.
emotional health. So, yeah, for sure. So, you've been an intern. You're actually the second intern that we've had.
Mm.
Because we're still a newbie. We're still like a
Yeah.
toddler. I'm like, we're a toddler is in organization years. But yeah, so how have you why don't you talk a little bit about your internship? You said you love it. What do you enjoy about it?
I love that. I mean, I don't know if I can say it, but I can pretty much do whatever I want, like with our social media,
Mhm.
in the sense that like you're not super particular about what gets posted. I mean, obviously there's a general theme you want, but creatively, you're not like you're not like micromanaging me saying I want this to be green, not blue. Um, um I don't know, I just like putting like different flyers together, and just seeing what I can do, because even though I do it for ALC, it's a different platform, so I get to see what it's like to switch audiences, um and I like the check-ins
Mhm.
twice a month. I think those have actually been really helpful because you get me thinking about things that I don't normally take the time to think about.
Mhm.
So when I'm sitting there doing my wheel or just talking about what's happening, I don't know, it just feels very nice to kind of ground myself and remind myself where I am,
Mhm.
kind of reorient, get more in line with my goals again. Because even though it is twice a month, I do be losing my mind between those sessions. So, so it's nice to get to do that.
Yeah.
Another pro, I got a sweater out of it.
Hey, we're twinning.
We are twinning. CMP. Yeah. So that's been a pretty nice experience overall. I do wish that I got to go to like that award thing that you went to, because that just seemed really cool to see
Oh, the summit.
CMPB. Yeah, the summit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've personally been really enjoying it, especially like within this past year. It's been pretty helpful, I would say. If anyone out
Woo.
there wants to be a CMP intern, I know the CEO.
Hit us up. Well, there'll be other summit type opportunities because we do have an overnight.
Yeah.
Future forward, we are planning to raise enough money to have this overnight experience for some
Mm-hmm.
select artists. So anyway, that'll be coming up.
Ooh.
So you got a lot of movement happening. Tell us more about the rooftop dancing.
Oh my
Or is
gosh.
or is that a secret? I just
It's not a
exposed you.
secret. Um, if if you don't already know, after like the next connection to kind of get people to apply to be members, we each did like a day in our life type of thing on our Instagram story. And I shared that I sometimes go to the roof and I just go up there and dance. I haven't been doing it lately, number one, because we don't really know when the roof is open anymore. Like it's sometimes closed and people say it's closed, but I'm just too lazy to check sometimes.
Mm.
And also, it's just been cold and I'm not down to go up there,
Mhm.
especially because the wind is so much more intense up there. But it is really fun when I go up there. I'm already listening to music, but as soon as I hit like the floor or the ground up there, I just start moving because I know nobody's watching, and if they are, well, okay, you're the loser watching somebody on the roof dance. um, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's really fun. I just listen to music that I normally listen to in the apartment, but that I feel like because the walls are so thin, or because I don't something about the structure of this building, you can hear when somebody's moving, and I don't want to be that disturbance. And also, dancing takes up a lot of space in the living room, and I don't want to be that person that's like moving the furniture all the time. So I found that going to the roof was pretty helpful. And I was learning a K-pop dance up there, but also I was just letting my body do what it does to the music that I like listening to. And I think it was super freeing. The view was very nice up there, and I can't wait to go up there again. But yeah, it was a really fun time up there. Um, maybe I'll show the Instagram for CMP what it's like.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be
Yeah.
fun. So it was freeing. There's something super special about being able to, I guess, find moments during the day where you can free yourself. Have you seen that movie Stargirl?
No, what is that?
Oh my gosh. I didn't watch the end yet, but I like love it. It's on Disney Plus. And it's this movie about this girl and her name is Stargirl and she's like quite the personality. I mean, she is like a free spirit, you know, she's got a big heart. And anyway, I brought that up. You'll have to watch it, but I brought it up because there's a scene in the movie where she's walking with a friend and they're like out in the wilderness, you know, somewhere, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know where. And she basically tells her friend like scream and he's like, "No, I'm not going to scream." And she's like, "Well, why not?" And he's like, "Because I'm not crazy." And she's like, and when he says I'm not crazy, then she just lets out a scream. And now mind you, they're the only two people. They're out in nature, the middle of nowhere. It's like, you know, why wouldn't you scream? Like you're not going to bother anybody. Like
Yeah.
nobody can hear you. You know what I mean? But I could really, when I was watching that scene in the movie, I could just relate to it in so many ways from both the Stargirl perspective and from like her friend, because it's
Mm-hmm.
the idea of that, you know, that we're so restricted and pent up, you know, you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
we feel like we can't scream and express ourselves when really like we can. Like what's holding us back? So now I kind of just want to go somewhere and just scream.
You know what? If you want to scream, come to Westwood at midnight during finals week.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, but I've been midnight yelling since it started.
And you know, I probably that's the last time I've done something like that. Is probably when I was in college. You know,
Oh my goodness.
we used to sit
Yeah.
on a couch in the middle of the street and sing and stuff.
Oh, that sounds kind of nice, actually.
So, you know, so yeah, you're up there freeing yourself on the roof.
I
But
am.
the trick is to be able to like keep that going. You know what I mean? Like after you leave UCLA, like where are you gonna find your rooftop moments?
So my goal for when we're out of this panoramic is to join a dance group of some kind, because it's something I've always wanted to do. I just never did it. But
Hmm.
now that I'm doing it more often, and now that I am just dancing around in the apartment all the time, it's like I want to join people that also love to do it. And also I need a studio. I can't keep doing this in the living room. I want yeah. I That's kind of what I plan on doing.
I love it. If it's
Thank you.
intergenerational, you need to send me the invite.
I will.
I might join the class with you. So speaking of kind of, what you're gonna do after you leave the UCLA and the panoramic, like what are your plans, or do you have any yet? It's okay if you don't.
I have an idea of what I want to do. That
Mm-hmm.
idea has not been acted upon, but we're not going to talk about that. Um, so what I plan on doing is joining in or getting hired as an intern, a paid intern somewhere, somewhere either relating to social media and marketing, because that's already like I'm pretty overqualified in that. I think to myself I am,
Mm-hmm.
or in education, or an internship that does both. I didn't know those existed until I applied to one a couple of weeks ago, but looking more into those. And in that time, while I'm working at an internship, I want to apply to to grad school slash teacher programs. The one I really want to get into is the one here at UCLA. It's called the Teacher Education Program, and it's pretty much you get your master's and your teaching credentials in the same 2 years. But if not, I will go to grad school for educational policy, um, or just work on getting a teaching credential, whichever happens. I'm down for either. I feel like if I have a set plan,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna restrict myself to life's opportunities, and I kind of want to keep it as open as possible, even though it is sort of niche. But I don't know if you know what I mean. Yeah,
It's sort of free. Wait, say that again.
it's like I'm keeping it open to grad school and like teaching programs, but
Mm,
I do think that the subject is pretty niche. But in that niche, I'm keeping my options open.
okay, got it.
Yeah.
So you're basically you're not hard pressed in terms of like, this is the plan, this is how it has to be laid out. This is, it's like you
Yeah.
have a general idea of what you want to do, and you're just kind of staying in the pocket of that.
Mhm. Exactly.
Which, sounds like a very healthy space to be in, because if you've listened to any of our previous episodes in terms of guests coming on that share their story, artists, it's like
Mhm.
things didn't go the way they planned. You know.
Exactly. That, and I just feel like I've heard so many narratives, especially here at UCLA, where people got into school or they got to where they are, not even through traditional ways. And I think it took like another workshop where a lady was talking about how I forget where she worked, but her major was in something not even related to it.
Mhm.
And I've just opened myself up to that idea because I never know what life is going to throw at me, and I don't want to box myself in, especially when I just have a lot of things that I want to be able to do. Like I don't want to restrict myself, or um, I don't want to block out any opportunity.
Mhm.
So keeping it open, I just feel pretty positive about.
Well, and even with your example of like, how you got to be president of the Latinx group and or club, and how you were became a director for student life. The common thing that I was hearing from you was that you had relationships with people, and those
Hmm.
relationships presented opportunities that opened doors for you. So, there's
Yeah.
that's a big deal to be able to recognize and understand that being in relationship and having right relationships and good relationships with people are things that are necessary to
Hmm.
basically propel us forward in life.
I agree. I've definitely seen it growing up. I mean, I've seen you connect with so many people. I've seen Mimi, my grandma, network with a bunch of people. I think it's just kind of been shown to me, and I just follow naturally.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this seems to work, so I'm gonna do it.
But you know what? I actually cringe at the word network. Like, I don't like the word network, you know? Well,
Hmm.
I shouldn't even say that, because I use the word because we do have an artist network.
Oh my
But
God. Did you know I joined an artist network?
oh no. But
Uh,
let me rephrase. It's like I cringe at the idea of like networking, like in the sense
yeah.
of like that inauthentic, like let me get to know you, let me meet you because I'm trying to see how you can help me and what you can do for me. Like, or
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't like that. I believe in like how you said you're for the people.
Yeah.
Like, I just love people. I love relating with people. And if something comes out of our connecting with each other, then hey, cool. But
Yes.
I don't believe in like trying to make something happen or just connecting with you for the sake of like I'm trying to get something from you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant too. Because networking workshops, when they're held here, I don't
Hmm.
go, and I don't. The idea of it scares me in general because that's just putting on a facade so that you can get hired somewhere or just get an in somewhere. I personally like the way I've gotten into things because I knew these people, so I
Hmm.
knew their values already, and I kind of just, I just went with the flow with them. But when you have to like network and like put on your whole professional stuff and you're like, hi, I'm blah blah blah, I'm majoring, I'm like, oh no, please, no, no, I don't want to do that. So yeah, definitely what I meant, like having personal connections and having opportunities stem from those.
Yeah. And I don't want anyone that's listening that like they might, that might be their thing. They might like that. Because there's different strokes for different folks. So for some people that works. Some people like to get in a room and like to, do exactly what you were just saying. Like,
Hmm.
but yeah.
Yeah, if you want to join a network, join that artist network.
Our artist network is different though. It's not like networking like that. It's like basically it's kind of like you're in our net, you know what I mean? Like we're trying to catch
Hmm.
you with our services and wrap our arms around you and give you a big old CMP hug to make sure that you know that we got you and you're not out there floating all by yourself. That's the kind of network. That's how I
Oh,
use the word when I use the artist network.
oh, that's cute. I like that.
Maybe I should have called it an artist blanket.
That's
Join the artist
cute.
blanket, the artist quilt. You can be a square in the
Join
artist quilt.
join the CMP group hug. Everyone's welcome.
Oh Lord. Okay, you know what? We are getting silly. So I can already tell that it is about time for us to wrap up our our WCW combo for today. Carlita, do you have anything else that you want to like send over the airwaves to artists that might be listening? Any last words?
I would say if you are thinking about doing something, just do it. I've definitely learned that from my own experience. Obviously, I had a lot of self-doubt and that hindered me just a little bit. It made things that much slower in the process. But if I could tell my past self anything, it would just be to do it. Because what can you lose? Like what could I have lost running for president? Like obviously I wouldn't have gotten it, but I would have had another opportunity in like another position. Same thing with the student government stuff, and also same thing with all my work stuff. But if you don't just go for it, you're already denying yourself the opportunity. um, so yeah, that's what I would like to send over the airwaves. Did it
Yes.
make it to your ear okay?
Oh shoot, that was great sound quality when you put that up there like that.
Oh, I should have done the whole podcast like this.
You should
Oh
have. Now I'm like, darn it.
well.
I mean, I can hear you well, but once you did that, it was like stereo sound.
Wow, 94.7.
Hey. All right, y'all. But we're going to get ready to wrap it up. Before we do, though, Carlita. So once I do my little wrap right now, okay, then we're both going to stand and we're
Mhm.
going to show our sweatshirts in the camera, okay? Because
Ooh,
shameless
okay.
plug, I am going to throw some pictures of these up on the site. I'm going to make them available. They're going to be, I mean, they're custom made, okay? So they're only going to be available by pre-order. But the information will be up on the site and we may only make a limited number available. So Yeah, there you
Ooh,
are.
get
You
your
got to get your
sweater.
fresh, limited only merch. All right. But you guys have
Although I
been
will
listening.
say,
Huh? What happened?
I said I will say, if you are watching this video form of the podcast, there's a stain on my sweater. Mind your business, okay? Just look at the rest of the sweater.
Mind your business, because they are custom made. They have to be washed in cold water inside out. There's like all these instructions, and Carlita already told me that she's gonna live in hers, and literally she is keeping her word apparently. But you guys have been listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative and Projects. I'm your host, Melissa Cherie. I've been here with our WCW Woman Crush Wednesday feature, Carlita Bryant. She's our emerging artist intern. She is fabulous. She's a woman on the move, a woman on the go, and a senior on her way. And we're on tomorrow, Thursday, and we will have a special feature. Amani's coming on with us tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. All right, here we go, Carlita. 1, 2, 3. Show them sweatshots.
Woo! CMP
Woo!
for the artist.